Welcome to our first festival together. At Ariel's Light, we really wanted to make sure we created a space that really celebrated the festivals that you typically see in the Steiner Waldorf calendar. And these festivals are often Christian based, but the beautiful thing is we can see this child of light or this being of light in so many ways. So I invite you that even if you're not a Christian, to sort of listen to what I have to say today, and maybe it will help you think about the child of light in your own life and sort of how you're bringing this light piece to your life as you walk forward. So, first, let's talk about the Epiphany or Three Kings Day. What exactly is that? What does it mean? So, I'm going to give a pretty basic understanding with a little bit of history behind it. Please feel free to go deeper if this is something that interests you and you're super excited about history. Like I get a little excited about history and I can tend to overtell so many things. So I'm very much trying to hold back today. I hope you can see that. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it is. We'll talk a little bit about what you can do with your children. We've also got in this video some great things that you can do with older children. You can also do them with younger children, but we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give some book recommendations, and we'll also just sort of talk about what you can take inner work wise into this festival, because that's what's so important. And one reason why we really wanted to make sure that this festival life was part of our Ariel's Light ministry. We really want parents to understand the festivals and really be able to go, oh, I can see myself in that, or I can see how I can transform that into something else that feels good. And most importantly, I know I am celebrating when I'm celebrating, because I think that's so important. We sort of live in a time when um, the festivals and the celebrations we have lost so much of their meaning. So we really want to bring that meaning piece back. And if you are following the Waldorf curriculum, either at home or in a school setting, and you are really working to bring these festivals to your children that you can see are happening in the school setting or within your curriculum, we want you to be able to take them in and really allow yourself to understand them. So come on this journey with me. First, we're going to talk about what does Epiphany mean. So at its root, Epiphany means to reveal. And while we talk about Three Kings Day as being part of the Epiphany, it's actually just part of it. So the Three Kings Day, which is the culmination of Christmastide, is all finished up on Three Kings Day, which is January 6th. It is the true meaning of the 12 days of Christmas, or 12th night. And it is a celebration that starts actually on Christmas, and it goes all the way through sort of these days of darker pondering and reflection. And of course, we're not bringing that to the children, but I want to bring that to you. Often parents will say to me, gosh, I didn't even realize, but I felt so reflective this week. And they weren't even thinking about it being this time of reflection between Christmas and the 6th of January. But you know, for many, many years, that's this sort of quiet time. In American schools, we often see school is going right back into session like the first Monday after January 1. And in what we see in a lot of Waldorf settings is they're not going back until after the Epiphany, because it's really a fairly important holiday or finishing of the holidays. So it's not odd to still be giving gifts during this time, to still be gathering and celebrating during this time, to light candles and think about the journey of those wise men or the three kings. It's definitely a beautiful time of just quiet contemplation. So what else was celebrated this time? So the Epiphany in its original origins was more than just Three Kings Day. So Three Kings Day is magnificent, right? It's supposed to be this day that these kings from afar came to see Jesus. And depending on your interpretation, Jesus was a toddler or he was an infant. Was most likely a toddler. There was a lot of travel that had to happen. These kings were probably astrologers. They saw the star in the sky and they knew that there was special meaning to this. And they were traveling to find what went with the star. But it's also an important time because during the Epiphany, we also celebrate, we're celebrating Christ's birth, the birth of the child of light, if you will. We are also looking at when he was baptized. That happened, with John the Baptist later on. So that's celebrated typically like the first Sunday after the Epiphany, or after the Three Kings Day. So there's that. And then shortly after that, they also many churches are celebrating the wedding at Cana. So if you don't know that story, that's the story when Jesus turns the water into wine at this wedding. So it's interesting to look at all of those pieces, because the first piece, Jesus's birth, that is sort of him being revealed unto his own people, so unto the Jewish people. And again, if this is not your mode of belief, it is totally okay. But it is important to sort of understand what people are celebrating around you. So I encourage you that if you're not Christian, keep listening. You'll probably learn something. At least you'll have some interesting things to talk to people about. But just keep listening. So again, we have him revealing himself as he's born to the Jewish people around him. And that's sort of with the story of the shepherds that come. So they're visited by an angel. The shepherds go and they see this infant that's just been born. And so that's like the first part of that Christmas story, right? The nativity that we see often. We see Mary and Joseph and this baby Jesus in a manger, and animals generally all around. And we see these shepherds. So these shepherds were Jewish, and they would have been out tending their flocks, and they have this heavenly visitation, and they go and they see the baby Jesus. So that's Jesus revealing himself to his own people. Then when the three kings come and he's a bit older, that's sort of him revealing himself to more people, to those that aren't Jewish people. And again, he's really young. He's probably a toddler. I'm betting 2, maybe 3 years old. Some people, of course, say much younger. But that's just the gospel according to Melissa. I'm thinking it's probably a little more like he's a toddler. And then this next piece, this piece of him being baptized, is so interesting if you are understanding, sort of what's going on, because John the Baptist, he's Jesus's cousin. He's kind of a heretic. He's kind of like, he's wild. And, a lot of people don't know what to think about him. The Jewish leaders at the time are thinking he's a dangerous man. And, he ends up losing his life over that. And he, though, is the person that baptizes Jesus. So Jesus comes to him to be baptized. And scripture says that then God speaks down from heaven and says, "This is my beloved son, hear him." And so this is a time when Jesus is then revealing himself as an adult, as somebody who is coming to preach. And then the wedding at Cana happens shortly after that. And he's at this wedding with his mother. And the tradition at the time, and it's kind of a funny tradition. I think a lot of people would think, gosh, I wish we had weddings like that now. But it's a wedding feast. And the bride and groom are generally already married. So this is the feast that happens after. And it's a feast that lasts for days. So often, I guess what they would do, this is just kind of funny to me, what they would do is they would give the best wine first, so that then when they're drunk, they don't taste the watered down wine. Well, I guess there had been way more guests than were originally supposed to be there, or had originally been counted for. So they have run out of all the wine, even the not so good stuff. And so Jesus is there in attendance, and he, to save the humiliation of this friend, he turns this water into wine. So that is him then revealing himself, as he's revealing he's ready to start this ministry. So, if I put myself in that spot, I often think, gosh, if he knew from a young child what he was supposed to do, how do you know when it's time to start doing it? And I think, just as a everyday human, there are many times that we know there's something on the horizon that we're supposed to do, but man, we're not quite sure. And then all of a sudden we get that, all right, now's the time. This is the space for us to reveal ourselves. So again, if you're not a Christian, it is completely okay. I hope you've stayed with me, and I hope you've been listening, because what I really want you to take away from this is there's a progression here in this sort of revealing ourselves and looking at what is happening in the world around us and how we can find light in this dark space. One of the things that I love is Rudolf Steiner's Calendar of the Soul. I have many different copies. This one is fun because it's called Weekly Meditations. Rudolf Steiner's Calendar of the Soul with accompanying reflections by Patsy Scala. I love her reflection for this week. So she actually says many different things in here. I'm just going to read from them, and then I will make sure that you have a link to grab this book if you want, or you can just listen to me talk about it. So she says, and this is week 39, which would be the week leading up to the Epiphany. Rudolf Steiner's quote first is, "Surrendered to the Spirit's revelation, I gain world being's light. Power of thinking grows, becoming clearer, it gives me to myself. And awakening releases my sense of self from the thinker's might." Just let that soak for a minute. You might need to rewind and listen again. So I love the reflection that Patsy gives to this verse. She says, when we focus only on our physical selves and the things of the world, we are separated from a part of who we are. We say, my hand, my thoughts. Somewhere in there, the I am within us becomes lost. And that's that divine peace, that God-realized self, that space that we can find when we are truly looking for light and we are truly quiet and find that time within ourselves. It says, the I am within us becomes lost in our meanness. I love that, our meanness. Somewhere along the way, we have lost a part of ourselves. We have lost touch with the essence of our souls. And then a little further down, she says, when we live in trust, the Spirit will reveal to us not only the light in the darkness and the promise of resurrection, it will also reveal to us every step we need to take in order to live as expressions of God on earth. And that's whether you're Christian or not. We're all sort of these spiritual expressions, right? Just walking this journey. It will show us how to be the seasonal light in a dark and inward world. In this surrender, we are given back to our wholeness, to ourselves. And she has this intention that I think is beautiful. This week, I will seek clarity about my role in awakening my true self. I will pay attention to my inspirations and my intuitions. I will confidently act on this guidance from Spirit. So I want you to sort of think about that as you're preparing for this festival, as you're sort of preparing for the newness of the new year, and just really think about what is it that you need clarity on? What is it in your life that you wish a light could be shined on? If there's a challenge you're having right now, or maybe there's something you've been trying to sort out or figure out. Maybe there's some real physical world stress that you might have. Maybe it's financial or maybe it's physical. I completely understand those things. That's part of like walking this this earthly space, right? We have this spiritual being we have to tend to, but then we have these real earthly problems and we have to sort of sort out which one of those to tend to first. And truly the balance of light is to sort of walk in the center and know what to deal with and like which direction to go. We can only find that if we get really quiet and we look for that place of clarity. So it's my prayer for you that you, as you're walking through this week, that you will find that place of clarity, or that you will at the very least seek that place of clarity. Okay, now let's talk about the kids a little bit. because we're not sharing all of this with the children. The children really are enveloped in this story of these three kings coming to visit this baby or this young child. So I love it when I can find great books. This is a great book. It's called The Three Wise Men by Loic Koopmans. I will make sure that I link it because I am murdering this person's name. I like this. It's very beautifully illustrated, but I also just like the wonder in the kings who are the wise men that were looking to the stars, and just sort of this idea that there's this light. Oh my gosh, we've been looking, and look at, there's this new light. And isn't that often how we are? We're looking everywhere, and all of a sudden there's a light. So I do hope you'll check out this book, or another book like this. If you are bringing the Three Wise Men or the Three Kings story to your children, even if you don't have that and you want to spin your own story, which I always welcome, you can talk about these kings, where they came from. There's also not a lot of information about them. We know that they brought gifts to the baby of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Those are royal gifts. And it's just very interesting that they would bring these gifts to a child. Some people I've heard say, well, that gold that was brought ended up being used later as Mary and Joseph needed to flee to Egypt, which, by the way, we don't share with the children at this time. It's definitely would put a giant damper on the Christmas tide if we go, oh, and by the way, at the end, Mary and Jesus have to run. They have to run because Herod is after them and it's bad. We don't share that with the little ones. We might share that with an older child, maybe a child of 6th grade and up, especially as they are, in the Waldorf curriculum, when they're in the 6th grade, they're having this conversation about the life of Christ. So it's actually kind of a perfect time. So as you are sort of walking through the curriculum and you're maybe planning things out for your own homeschool, keep that little bit in mind. It's always pretty magical to cover the life of Christ during this Christmas time, when everybody is sort of talking about it and it's everywhere. It's a lot easier to find those pieces of wonder than it is in other times. Okay, so how are we bringing this to the children? Other than stories, how are we bringing this? We can have a beautiful nature table. And even if, all of the beautiful things that we have here on ours are not available to you, just start with something really easy, just some candles to light. It's so much fun to watch the wonder in a child's eyes as they're sort of having this anticipation of where you're going. So as you're celebrating the 12 nights, then definitely use candles. Now, if you have not been celebrating the 12 nights and you're just working on Three Kings, it's totally okay. Absolutely light some candles the night that you're bringing the Three Kings stories, and really just sort of cultivate that reverence. And if you're really struggling with how do I cultivate that reverence, I want you to think about how you're feeling inside and start there. So if you've cultivated it within yourself and you know what this calm place feels like, your child will come along with you. Now, that means that we also have things that we have to do so that there's not craziness going on, right? So I generally like to think about reverence after they have a full belly. I never, I'm a mother of 5. I've never tried to cultivate. I don't want to say never. I probably tried once or twice, and then I was like, no, I'm never doing that again. Cultivating reverence with hungry children is really hard because they get whiny, and then you get frustrated because you just want to get through this. So, have a snack. Even if you're not ready for a full meal, have a snack before you have this reverent time or these stories. Really talk about the journey and bring them just this calm and quiet space. The lights in the Northern Hemisphere are darker earlier. And so this is a perfect time to just sort of slow down and calm down. And it's a great way to sort of enter the new year in this calm space. I encourage you to take this time to ponder, to reflect, to set goals for yourself in the new year, to set goals with your children. We have a great segment here on how to sort of set goals with the children and have a fun time looking forward to the new year. I encourage you to do that with your children. Make it part of your family tradition. And even if our traditions don't become your traditions, find a tradition that does feel good, that feels good as you're walking this space. And especially if you're not a Christian, there are so many ways you can bring these as well. Definitely bring the star piece that we do, bring the window stars, have fun with this time of anticipation and build it up. Find light in your own space. Find light within your children. Find light within your home. Find light within your own life. Okay. We're going to do a quick meditation. Get comfortable. If you are new to meditation, don't worry. You hopefully won't get scared off by this. Just get yourself in a comfortable spot. I teach my children to meditate from the time they're really young. But then I do different meditations with them. So on our Patreon channel, we've got a child meditation that can get you started and can kind of give you some ideas. There are a lot of different meditations out there that you can find for your children. I like to start with really simple things for them. Something you could do for this time specifically is just really think about, lighting candles in their mind. What does it look like? Think about how pretty it is. Just talk softly. For us grown-ups, we're really going to think about this clarity piece. Now, I'm going to read this intention again because I really, really love that this could be a great space for meditation. She says again, this week, I will seek clarity about my role in awakening my true self. I will pay attention to my inspirations and intuitions, and I will confidently act on this guidance from Spirit. So let's take that into meditation a little bit. Get comfortable. Often when I sit down to meditate, I start to feel everything in my body starting to yell at me. So my neck, do some neck rolls if you need to, some shoulder rolls, especially if you've been sitting in a chair for too long. Just kind of bend yourself a little bit. That way, when you sit down and you try to clear your mind, your body doesn't yell at you. So get comfortable, breathe very evenly, and just let it out. Sometimes we'll do deeper breaths, but for this meditation today, we're just going to just be aware of your normal breath. Now, I want you to think about places in your life that need light. Bring those places to mind. What might clarity look like if you were to bring light to these places? What might that look like? What answers do you need to your prayers? How would you feel after the light has been shown on these things? Would a weight be lifted? A sigh of relief? A dance of jubilee? Just sit with this for a moment. What does the Spirit have to tell you? What clarity can be gained? If you find your mind wandering, just come back. Be kind to yourself. If you find yourself having solved your challenges, think about the beauty that you will create in the new year. Oh, I hope that puts a smile on your face. What things do you have coming in the new year that make you sublimely happy? What things will be an epiphany to you, will be revealed to you as you walk this path this year? You come back to center. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you'll enjoy our Three Kings celebration. I hope you will bring something to your own life and your own family. Let us know if you have questions. You can always drop us an email. You can always ask us, grab questions, grab us on social media. We're always happy to help. If you've got, suggestions or videos you'd really like us to do, let us know. We'll have the next festival will be here as well. So you can always come here and get these. And, it's truly just my hope that it gives you some light as you walk this path, and that you truly can be a light to your family and to those around you, and nourish yourself and just truly enjoy the journey. Okay, so every year we try to do this activity. I don't even know what we call it. Star activity.
Your activity?
Yearly. We do it at the end of every year. Although I am realizing as I've been looking through these that we didn't do it last year. And I know why we didn't do it last year, because we were moving. And I must have had all of my stars packed up and put away somewhere. So that's why we didn't do them.
Yep.
So it's even more important that we're doing them this year. So I kind of look at the year's past ones, even though it's almost like looking at somebody's diary. I probably ought not to be looking at everybody's. But usually what we do is we put our name on the front, and then I like to have everybody put qualities about themselves that they are proud of. So affirmations about themselves. One of the things that my son wrote on here was that he was self-reliant, and he wrote kind. And sorry, I was laughing because underneath it says sometimes. Smart, helpful, handy. So we like to put those affirmations on the front. This is the public. This is what people see from us, right? But then on the back, we want to put sort of the desires of our heart. What things do you want to see, do, learn, experience in this next year? So to prime your children for this activity, I would talk to them about it beforehand. I remember one year, I think it was the year you were 7, we sat down to do it, and you were...
Wait, did I have you guys write it down?
You just were... I think we started it with you, and you were like, it was too much. It was too overwhelming. And so it's good to prime them. And I think we did help you write it down. But I think, too, it's good to prime them so they start thinking about it. So I would do that a few days ahead. As far as what ages this is good for, I would definitely say as you're sort of bringing this self-actualization piece to your children, where they're looking at the year ahead or getting excited, that's usually not going to happen until they're, after 7, getting closer to age 9, and then definitely in the preteen and teenage years, and adults too, because Eric and I do these as well. And it's always fun at the end of the year, or when you get ready to do the next year, to sit down and look at the ones that that you've done in years past, to sort of see what things actually came to fruition. And I was really surprised when I was looking at them today, just how many things have come to fruition. And on one of them, we wanted a new car, and I didn't even think about that. And we got a new car, and a different house, and we did some traveling. So I think it's always good to sort of look back and reflect then on these. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got stars here. So these are just simple construction paper stars. You can make your own, or you could take paint paper and cut it out if you wanted to do that instead.
but we just got these. I think these came from the craft store or Amazon or both. So I try to keep them on hand because when I don't, then I can't find them.
You
And
regret it?
I regret it every time. But when I was looking through the stars today, I actually found more blank stars. So that's why we have stars of different shapes here and different hues and stuff. So pick the one that you want to start with. And as we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to light a candle. I love this candle that I just got. It's called the Isra candle. And this company makes candles in Israel. And it's the shape of the Sea of Galilee. So I thought it was a great, it's beeswax, and I'm not sure, it's probably some beeswax. So I thought it was a great candle to burn while we're sort of doing this Christmassy activity to commemorate Three Kings Day or the Epiphany. All right, you picked the one you're using?
Yes.
Okay, Mama likes purple, so
You're gonna use that one.
I'm gonna use this one. And then because the colors are really bright, it's best to use colored pencils that will show up really well. And looking at years past, I can see ones where the colored pencils weren't chosen for the for the paper, and so it's really kind of hard to read. But pick colored pencils that stand out to you, and let's get started. All right, so what are some things that you like about yourself that you could put on the front?
Opinionated? Is that one?
Is that one that you really like about yourself? These would be like, that are all good things.
Artistic.
Artistic, that's a great one. It's all right. Oh, I forgot I have silver.
I'm gonna choose the color.
Hmm?
Change, the color for the words. Oh, this color. Or, no.
Another thing we like to do as a family at the beginning of the new year, and often it ends up being on the Epiphany or through the week that happens right before the Epiphany, is make window stars. So if you are new to window stars, this is one that was in our window, and we need to make a new one because it's been beat up a lot. It was in a window that had blinds, so the blinds kept eating it up. I think this time we better put it this way so that the blinds don't eat it up again. But these window stars are really pretty because, as you can see in these jars, that as light shines through them, they're really beautiful. So when the sunlight comes through, they're really pretty. And you can make them in lots of different sizes. So we've got these tiny ones that are here on these lanterns, and you can see we put them on these lanterns too. These lanterns are lanterns that we use during Martinmas and our Martinmas walk. And if you're new to that, then stay with us for a while. And in November, we'll talk about getting lanterns ready for Martinmas. But I also like to have lanterns around the house all the time. I kind of like candles, huh?
Yes, you do.
Burning candles all the time. So we've got them on these jars. But what's fun is these jars really don't cost anything. I mean, these are jars that we used, that we had extras of. These ones were just canning jars, and they were just covered with glue and tissue paper. Today, though, we're just going to make window stars. You can make window stars out of tissue paper, and this is just regular tissue paper. Or you can use what we're going to use, and that is called kite paper. And I'll make sure you have links to getting kite paper. This is beautiful. It comes in many different colors, so you can pick the colors you want. And what colors are you doing for this one?
Blue and yellow.
Oh, those will be pretty. Okay, so she's going to do blue and yellow. I'm going to show you some of these little ones that we've done. So we've taken the kite paper and cut it small. So we've got lots of different sizes here. We're just going to teach a basic window star today, which is just this. It's super easy. I like it because you can really do this with children that are fairly young. You've been making window stars probably since you were 4 years old. And of course, children will need help with glue. Yes. The glue that I recommend, and truly you can use any glue. You can use just a clear, like school glue, like Elmer's, but I really like tape runner because it makes your life so much easier. You don't have to wait for it to dry, and it's pretty clear when it's all put together. So I love tape runner. Tape runner can sometimes be hard to find, but we found these probably a big box store, and you can find them at most craft stores.
At Walmart too.
Yeah, that's the big box store.
That is?
The big box store. So the most important piece to making your star be very straight is to make sure that your folds are straight. And okay, what color should I do?
Purple
Purple?
and brown.
Purple and brown. We always end up with a lot of brown. I don't think I'm gonna do purple and brown. I thought I'd do purple and yellow.
You could do green and brown because that's like forest colors.
They are forest colors. I think I'm gonna do purple and yellow. I think I'm gonna do a 6-pointed star. Which needs 6 pieces of paper. So this kite paper is about 6.5 inches, almost 6.5 inches. Actually 6.25 inches. But you can cut it any size as long as the pieces are all the same size, you'll be in good shape. So for this really simple one, we're just going to do corner to corner. When you're working with younger children and even some older children, like this one over here, this is the hardest piece. So you're definitely going to want to help them. And then we're going to sort of do this, this kind of makes me think about a sailboat. I'm going to just bring those in. You want to keep your corners as straight as possible. Often when I'm working with younger children, I will do this part first and then let them assemble the star however they want. And you get all kinds of interesting designs when you let them do that.
We could make a kite with this paper.
Okay.
Because it is called kite paper.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we did window stars so long ago for this house.
We did when we first moved in
And we
last
were
year
watching
in January.
We were watching the seahorse. Well, we're doing it the one about the Loch Ness monster. Which was kind of weird with the mixer when we were doing it, but
Okay, so we made a bunch of window stars and I can't wait to get them up on the windows. We'll get some shots of what they look like when the sun is up tomorrow. Then I wanted to show you another quick and easy way to make a star. So, you know, we did this one where we just sort of folded it in half and then we folded it in this like sail. Makes me think of a sailboat. Kind of looks like a sailboat a little bit. You know, folded it up, it would totally look like a sailboat. But there's other simple ways to do them. And you know, when I'm working with young children, I like to stick with the really easy one that I just showed you. But as they get older, they're not going to be so pliable. They're going to want to do their own thing, which you should let them do. But I like to also introduce another way to make these points. So you're starting with the same, just sort of the little, I'm just going to call it the sailboat. You're going to start it with the little sailboat piece. And then once you've got that all down, so sailboat, and we're going to work on the bottom half here. We're going to do sort of the same thing. We're going to pull those ends up, pulling these ends up toward the center. And then in doing that, we make a completely different shape. It's more pointy, and you can see I sort of made a half of a rainbow here. You could make a full rainbow star out of it. But then you could go even another step further. You want an even pointier star. Go back up to the top part that you'd already done and fold in again. So I hope you'll have fun with this. I hope you'll post them on the internet and tag us. We'd love to see what you're doing with them. We'd love to see your creation. There's so many different things you can do, and truly just have a good time with this this time of year and making things that sort of get you through the next 12 months and will bring happiness and joy to your home. We showed you how beautiful it can be to have candles that light you up each day as you head towards the Epiphany. And you know, if you've not been doing it thus far, it's really okay. And if you're worried that you don't have all the pretty things, I want to show you a way that you can do it like really cheap, not very much money at all. So, you know, of course we have this beautiful birthday ring. We use this all the time for our birthdays. We use it for a lot of other celebrations as well. But you don't have to have this. While it's beautiful and it will last years and years, the ones that I have are 20 years old, well, it will last years and years. You don't have to have this. These were $1 at IKEA. These are just little shells that you would put a candle in. You could put a tea light in here. Tea lights are super inexpensive. You could use this. Or these are great little candles too. These I found at Hobby Lobby. You could find them at just about any craft store, and they were inexpensive. There were 12 here and it was $8. So I just wanted to show you that there are some really simple ways that you can bring candles into your celebrations without needing to worry so much about cost or doing it 100% right. It's better to have the experience of lighting the candle with your child and really having the reverence of the celebration than it is to worry about those other pieces.